In this lesson, I am going to discuss the new PMP format of 2026. So I have written some comparison between the current PMP exam, which is going to be ended on July the 8th, and the new exam format will start on July the 9th. So the major differences are summarized as below. These are the features, means questions, the format of questions, and these are the current PMP exam, and this column shows the new PMP exam which will start on July the 19th, 2026. So currently total questions are 180, and in the new format the questions will remain the same, that is 180. Out of 180, currently we have 175 questions which are score based questions, and out of 180 only 5 questions are unscored questions. In the new format, again I will say the question will remains the same, that is 180 questions. Scored questions will be 170 and 10 questions will be unscored. As well as timing is concerned, currently we have 230 minutes, but 10 more minutes are going to be added in the new format. So in the current format, which will going to start on July the 19th, our total time will be 240 minutes. Currently, we have two breaks, optional breaks, 10 minutes, and in the new format, again, we have the same 10 minutes optional break. So, I will highly recommend that after each section, you should take a break. Question types, currently, we have a multiple choice questions, multiple responses, drag and drop, matching, and hotspot. Now, in the current format, we have the existing types. Existing type means whatever is written here, current format, plus case study sets, graphic based questions, practicum tool based questions. All these questions I will discuss in this lesson, so you should be sure what will be the format of the current new PMP. Agile versus predictive. Currently, there are 50% hybrid question, 50% predictive, but in the new PMP format, there will be 60% agile and hybrid questions versus 40% predictive. Focus. Currently, they focus on project execution and delivery, and a new format, business outcomes, value delivery, AI, sustainability, strategic alignment. What are the meaning of these words? We will discuss throughout in this course. Exam style, scenario based, but in the current format, more scenario driven and case study oriented. Domain weight, we will talk about the domain. Currently, we have three domain: people, process, and business environment. Currently, we have 42% questions regarding to people, 50% process, 8% business environment, which makes 100%. In the new format, we have the same three domain: people, process, and business, but the weightage is changed. In new PMP, there will be 33% questions related to people, 41% process, and 26% business environment. So you have seen that this business environment is now 3 times compared to the previous one. Here is 26%, and I have written the same information here. The biggest change in the significant increase in business environment, which now receives more than 3 times the previous emphasis. Okay, so here I have written what is the meaning of people, process, and business environment. People means managing the human side of the project. Suppose if you are working on the project, definitely we have a stakeholders, we have a team. So whatever questions related to the human, that is covered under the people. Process in managing the technical and procedural aspects of the project work. What does it mean? Whenever you are working on the project, definitely you have to use some tools, techniques, you will use some processes in order to achieve your objectives. So that is called the processes, and that part will cover in your processes question. Third one is business environment, ensuring the project aligns with the organizational and strategic goal. So if you will see these kind of questions, that whether the project aligns with the organization or strategic goals, it means those questions are related to the business environment. A simple way to remember: people who is involved and how they work together, means who is involved, your stakeholders. Who are the stakeholders? Anyone which is related to the project. Suppose you are working on any project, software project, so your team, your sponsor, your manager, your clients, your customers, or all the call the people or the stakeholders. Process, how the project work gets done, all the processes and tools you have to follow. Business environment, why the project exists and how it supports the organization. So I hope these three domains are clear, but again we will work on many questions, then it will be very easy for you. So here I have written these three domain with the example and what it covers. So people first, leadership, team management, stakeholder engagement, conflict resolution, communication, coaching, and motivation. So these topics are covered under the people, because if you want to communicate, definitely we need people. If there is a conflict, we have to resolve the, if you want to resolve the conflict, definitely we need people. So here are the example. A project manager resolves a disagreement between developers and testers about releases deadlines, helping them collaborate effectively. It says that if there is some disagreement or some conflict, there are different types of conflict. The best way to resolve the conflict is the problem solving. So in both case, both teams will have the win-win situation. There is some another type is called the smooth or by force, which we will learn. So this is the example of people. Process, planning, executing, monitoring, controlling, and closing, these are called the focus group. So these focus groups, in these focus group we have different processes. So if you will see any question related to planning, execution, monitoring, it means they are talking about the process group, includes scope, schedule, cost, quality, risk, procurement, etc. During, here is the example. During a software project, suppose if you are working on the software project, a client requests a new feature, the project manager evaluates the impact on the schedule. If you will see, if the client will submit any, or a stakeholder will submit any change request, definitely as a manager or the CCB has to evaluate what will be its effect on the schedule, budget, and according to that you have to make some decision. That is called the process. Last is the business environment, understanding how project supports organizational strategy, compliance, governance, benefit realization, and external factors. A company launches a mobile banking app to support its digital transformation strategy. Project manager ensures that project meets regulatory and requirements and delivers the expected business benefits, right? So if your project is aligned with the business objectives or business whatever the requirements of the business is, it means that these are that those questions are related to business environment. So these are the topics which they will emphasize in the new PMP format. The new exam places greater focus on business value realization, strategic alignment, benefits management, product thinking, and so on. So at this moment, please do not worry about these topics. We will discuss throughout this course. Just go through these topics and I will explain to you in a very simple way. So new question formats. Now we will talk about a new for questions format. In addition to traditional PMP question types, PMP has introduced case study question sets. Case study means, suppose they will give you a case study and you have to read that passage, and then at the end they will ask you two or three or four questions based on that that scenario. So I have written exactly the same thing. Graphic visual interpretation question, tool based or practicum style question, enhanced matching and interactive formats. What are these categories we will discuss in this video? Why they have made these changes? These changes are intended to test practical decision making rather than memorization. So you do not have to memorize, you have to just make decision according to the scenario or according to the situation. So here is the first kind, case study question set. So this is the sample of the case study. Here I have made a very simple scenario for you. You are managing a $2 million infrastructure project, right? During the execution, the budget is 2 million. Scheduled performance is SPI is 0.85. CPI at this moment, do not worry about what is SPI, CPI. We will discuss. It is the scheduled performance index. This is the cost performance index. A regulatory agency announces new compliance requirements. A critical resource is leaving the organization next month and a sponsor is requesting accelerated delivery. So this is the scenario, very simple scenario, and these are the questions you have to answer. First is, what does the SPI indicate? See, we will discuss SPI and CPI as I told you later on, but here quickly you have to remember that is Casual Performance Index or CPI. If they are less than 1, it is not good, right? Less than 1 means that the SPI, Special Performance, whatever they are working, it is behind the schedule, right? Behind schedule, I can write down here, behind schedule, if it is less than 1. Similarly, if the CPI is less than 1, it means it is over budget. So this CPI 1.1, it is good, it means it is under budget, but our schedule is behind schedule. So what does the SPI indicate? What does the CPI indicates? Again, as I said, we will discuss later on, but here I have written the answer of these questions. So there will be A, B, C, D different options. You have to select the correct one. This is the example of the scenario one. Here is the graphic visualization interpretation question or hotspot. What does it mean? Suppose we have here is A, this is our A, this is our B, C, D, and E, right? So here I have made a very simple graph for you. This is the cost versus risk relationship. So when we start the any project, at that moment the risk is high. Because why the risk is high? Because we do not know whether we will get the objectives of of whatever is the objective of the project or whatever. So when we start, the risk is high and the cost is low, because initially we do not spend too much money. So if the question says that at which point the risk is high, you have to select A. If they say at which point the cost is very low, again A, right? If they say, okay, at which, as we move at the end, the risk is very low but our cost is high, so at what point the risk is low, so you have to select this one, right? At which point the risk and cost more or less same, so you have to select the C. So this is called the graphic or visual interpretation questions. Third is tool based or practicum based question. Risk register. What is the risk register? We will discuss in the chapter of risk. Risk register is all the before going to start. It is recommended that you have to identify all the risk. But again, I will say no one is able to write down all the risk throughout the process. You have to find out the new risk, but try your best to make a list of as many risks as you could. So here is the risk: vendor delay. Maybe the vendor, if you need supplies and vendor is not available, or the supplies is not available, whatever the reasons, so the probability is very high and the impact is very high. Team absence, the probability is medium and impact is low. So these are the tool based or practicum style question is, which risk should be prioritized for response planning? Again, you will see A, B, C, D. So here is C, probability is very high and the impact is very high, so you have to select the vendor delay. This is the enhanced matching and interactive format, drag and drop. So here you will see I have written different activities. So developing the project charter, managing stakeholder engagement, and so on. So you have to read, okay, developing project charter. Then you have to see where we make the charter. We make the charter in the initiation. So you have to drag this and drop it here. At the end, I said closing contracts. Where we close the contracts, we do normally in the procurement, but this is not mentioned here. So just put it here and drop it here in the closing part. This is called the drag and drop. Simply pull down scenario means, here I have written again a simple question: a stakeholder who is unsure of the project should be classified. If your stakeholder is unaware about the project, so you would classify as, so here is the selection option. You have to open this arrow: leading, neutral, resistant, unaware. So you have to select the D option, unaware. This is called the pull down question. This is the simple MCQs because this is the existing pattern as well, and you will find out the MCQs there in the new format as well. In an agile project, requirements are best described as, so see, this is the agile. In agile, all the requirements are not clear at the beginning, fully defined at the start. No, fully defined is we use normally in the predictive, evolving throughout the project. This is the excellent choice. In agile, all the requirements usually evolve throughout the project. Fixed and control, no, only defined by the project sponsor, no, no. So you have to select this one, right? Multiple responses. Which three tools are used in risk identification? Here I will highly recommend. So if you will see, they are asking three option you have to select. Please do not waste your time here, because if you select, suppose two are right, one and two is right, and you will select the third one, you will not get the credit. You will get the credit if all three are correct. So usually 1.2 minutes you have to spend per question, but I will highly recommend try to make it one. And if you need some more time for the long question or scenario based question, you can spend there. But here, just if 100% you are sure, then you have to select the three option or two option. If you are not sure, do not spend too much time here. Quick summary, question count same 180 in the new format. They have added 10 more minutes. Now currently we have 230. Starting on July the 19th, there will be 240 question. Environment is going to be 26%, agile hybrid 50 to 60%. Now we have, before it was 50-50, now you will see 60% question related to agile and hybrid. New format, case study, graphic, practicum style, which I already explained to you. Here I have written the important note: the project management institute does not publicly disclose the PMP exam passing score. They will not say at 70% you will pass, 75% is the passing mark. PMI using a psychometric scoring method, which means the passing standard can vary depending on the difficulty of the exam version you receive. If the exam is medium or not difficult, so then maybe they will set at 80%. But if the exam is very difficult, maybe they will say at 70% you will pass. There is no official percentage, just as 70 or 75%. PMI reports performance by domain rather than numeric score. They will not say you get 50, 70%, 80%. They will say your result will based on the domain, people, process, and business environment. As you know, these are the main three domains. So your result will be above target, target, below target. Suppose in people you perform at target, so in your result they will mention target. In process you have your all questions are right, or maybe 80 or 90% are right, so they will write down 80 above target. Unfortunately, if in your business environment you did not perform well, so you will see NI needs improvement. Most PMP instructors and training providers recommend consistently score 75 to 80% on a full length practice exam. I will highly recommend do at least 5 to 6 mock exam. If in the mock exam your score is 70 or 80%, it means you are ready to go, and the chances are very high that you will pass. If the concepts are clear in PMP, I will say PMP is a piece of cake, and I will try my best that I will make things easy for you. Here I have written about the flag questions and return to them. In the PMP exam, you can flag questions and return to them as many times as you want within the current exam section. What does it means, current exam section? It has three section. First you have to solve 60 question. After 60 questions, suppose you had flagged 5 question, you can go back and fix the questions if you like, but keep in mind the time is very important. Maximum you have to spend 80 minutes to the first 60 question, 75 to 80 minutes. When you will submit after 60 minutes, if you submit these 60 question, you cannot go back to the flag questions. After 60 minutes, it is optional 10-minute break. Again, I will highly recommend that you should take a break. When you will come back after the break, you have to start question number 61 to 120. Again 60 question. If suppose again you have flagged 4 questions or 5 whatever, so in this time, in the next 70 minutes or 75 minutes before submitting the second part, you have to go to check your question. After, if you submit after 120, you cannot go back. After 120, again there is an optional 10-minute break, and then the final section will start from 120 to 180 question. When you will submit here, you will get your result. So here I have written exactly the same thing, divide into 3 sections of 60 question each. After question 60 and 120, you can take an optional 10-minute break. Before ending a section, you can review all question in that section, including any you have flagged. Once you submit a section and move on, you cannot go back to the question from the previous section. Unlimited revisits to flag questions within the current section. Now, I am pretty sure that you know the meaning of current section. No revisiting questions from earlier section after you have completed them. So, I hope the new format of PMP, which is going to start, keep in mind, on July the 19th, 2026, is clear. I can write down here as well, July the 19th, 2026. Good luck, everyone. If any point is not clear, you can ask me. Please subscribe my channel. See you in the next video, and thank you.